Welcome to the Green Wasp Removal YouTube channel. In this episode, we take on a massive German Yellowjacket colony that had decided to live inside the porch ceiling of a private residence. This nest had a huge population of thousands of foragers that were coming and going constantly at a stream like you see here, non-stop, all day, every day. The property owners called us for help because their main back door that they used every day was only a couple of feet from this nest entry point, and it was becoming dangerous. So we began phase 1 collection, where we take specimen collection bottles and we set them right by the entrance of the nest, and we collect as many flying foragers as we possibly can for use in Venom Immunotherapy. And we try to reduce the population. As you see here, this was a voracious nest. They were bringing back huge amounts of insect meat for their larvae to feed on, because at this time of year, most wasp nests like this, Yellowjackets in particular, are at their highest growth phase of the whole year. So there's just thousands of wasps being pulled out of this nest. We brought in the Manchester University Wasp Team to assist, and we had some new members that we were training in, so this was the perfect nest to do on-the-job training, real-world scenario, and they did a great job. We were taking them through how to freeze our specimen samples for Venom Immunotherapy, and they couldn't wait to suit up and jump into action and help us out. So the new members are always so full of enthusiasm and ready to go, so we took them through our safety protocols. Some of our more experienced members are in charge of training the newer members and teaching them how to do this job safely. As you see here, they walk each member through how to deal with checking seams, checking veils, checking zippers, making sure there's nowhere a wasp can get inside your suit. So we really take these safety checks seriously, and we make sure that the new team members do as well. And these new team members really took this to heart. They did a great job. They were very careful, very professional about it, and it worked out great. Then it was time to bring the new members up for some hands-on work. First, they helped collect some of the specimens as we were doing attrition collections at the beginning. They did a great job working together as a team. The new members stepped right up with no hesitation. As you'll see in this episode, they worked really, really well together. They did a great job. Here they're exploring an old hole in the ceiling first, and we were hoping to find some visual on the nest to get an idea where it was. We did see some wasps up in here, as you can see, but we did not find the nest on this side of the ceiling. So we knew we were going to have to go to the other side and do some exploratory work with the scope cam. That's what you see here. The team is being trained in on how to use the scope cam. They did an excellent job with this. They put it right up into the ceiling after drilling a hole for access. And here you see on the scope cam screen that they've discovered the nest. This is wasp paper. This paper covers the brood comb of the nest, so we knew now exactly where we wanted to cut on the ceiling. So here we're doing our first cuts on the ceiling based on the scope cam drill hole, and we knew now at least where one border of that nest was going to be. So when we open up the ceiling, we could do the least amount of damage to the structure while targeting the nest pretty specifically. As we cut away strips of wood, we always try to remove the least amount of material as possible, because you don't want to take any more of the structure apart than is absolutely necessary. So here we have exposed the entire nest. It was a big nest. You can see where that huge population came from. There were many, many cells in the nest for worker cells. There were new cells in it for new queens being born. This was a fun nest for the team to see. It was one of the larger nests any of them had dealt with before, and for the new members, it was the first job they did where we actually removed the entire nest, and it was an experience for the new members to see something that large in the ceiling. Despite the intimidating look of this nest, the new members jumped right in and went straight to work. First, we removed the paper that covers the comb. It's called the envelope. Once we had most of the paper removed, we brought down the brood comb itself, and these were huge pieces of brood comb. They were the size of pizzas. And here you see Coco, one of our more experienced members, showing Kendall how we search for the queen. It's important when we remove a nest that we try to locate the original founding queen. We don't want them to rebuild. We don't want the queen to stay there and continue making eggs. So we really make an effort to try to find that queen. But unfortunately, right in the middle of the queen hunt, Coco got stung in the arm. The wasp had gotten her right through the suit. We initially thought there might be one in her suit, so you see here we're crushing the suit to make sure we kill any wasp if it's inside the suit, but it wasn't. So we had Coco take a break, and Kendall stepped right up and kept going on the removal, trying to get more of this nest material down out of this ceiling cavity. We have to hand it to Kendall on her first job. Despite watching one of our experienced team members take a sting, she was brave and she hung in there and continued with that job until that nest was out. Here you see Dakota, one of our other team members, holding up the nest. This was also his first removal job with the team, and he also did great. The team really worked well together. And the way we cross-train in the team, if one team member is not present or goes out for any reason, the other team members step right up and they do the entire process. There isn't a single job or task during a removal that any one of the team members can't complete. At the end of the job, we did a debrief, and they really had a good time. They enjoyed it very much, and they look forward to the next one. And in this episode, Coco explains what the med kit contains and how we use a venom extractor like she did in a real-world scenario when she was stung during this job. She'll take you right through how it's used and how effective it can be to remove venom from your skin and your tissue. This really helps reduce the pain and the swelling and the issues that venom can cause inside your body. If you remove as much of the venom as possible as quickly as you can with one of these tools, you're going to be a lot more comfortable later. So that's it for the preview. Now we're going to show you a 1 hour plus episode. We'll take you through the entire job with us step by step. We appreciate you riding along. If you enjoyed the episode, please remember to like, share, subscribe, and comment to let us know you're there. September 10th, 2025. Here we have a private residence with a very active yellowjacket nest in the back porch. They're heading up into what looks like the dormer, maybe the top space of this old porch roof. So they may be going into a wall cavity down here, or they may be going up into an upper cavity. Usually it's an upper cavity up here. So we have a couple of options. We could probably cut this away. It's a relatively thin piece of wood here. Just cut the top away and pull the whole nest, or we could just do an attrition collection from the outside, which we will probably start today. It's a pretty active nest. If they have power on the outside, we'll see how that goes, but definitely busy here. Dangerous to the homeowner and close to the door that they use, so needs to be dealt with now as soon as possible. Yeah, it's super active. We need to start collecting on this one today. Way too many wasps. We're so close to a doorway. In this shot, take a look at the wasp at the top of the frame. This is why yellowjackets really should be removed when you can get to the nest. You see how it's chewing away the wood, literally chewing away the wood to expand the entrance because there's so many wasps coming in. They will do this to an entire structure inside the cavity that they're nesting in to expand the nest. Man, these guys are busy. So when we get nests like this, they need to go like right now. So we're rigging up a collection vac that has adjustable power. It can go high or low as needed. In many ranges of that high or low. So what we'll do is set up our collection bottle here and just gently start sucking them into the bottle. So the key is to check pressure to make sure they're not hitting too hard. You could probably go a little bit lower. Look how much food is being brought in here. Huge amounts of food. After just a couple of minutes, absolutely tons of them being collected. Super busy nest. Wave after wave of foragers coming in, just getting collected. There's so many coming in, it sounds like a hailstorm as they hit the bottle. Non-stop traffic. Never-ending stream of foragers coming in here. There's a second bottle already. I'm going to go ahead and freeze the first one now. The first bottle from this ongoing attrition collection over here. Now it's time to freeze it. Here's the second bottle, already full. Needs to be collected right away. All right, here's the second bottle. Time to get this one frozen. Very large populations coming in quickly. All right, here's bottle number 3, already filling up. Still a super steady flow coming in. We're going to use a scope cam today and insert it up into this gap in the molding of this structure, and we should be able to get at least some imagery on this nest. Let's set this aside for a second. All right, so the scope cam, we put it up here and pointed it this direction, and it looks like the nest is about over here in the middle of this wood structure, which is pretty thin, and it's right up in this area. So it's feasible we could just take a cutting tool and cut the nest right out. We'll have to see what the client wants to do, because that'll require some repair. It looks like it's been repaired up here before, so this is probably not terribly stable, but we'll see. If they want to go in, we can. Otherwise, we can keep doing attritions like this from the outside. So here's footage of the nest from the scope cam. In the foreground, they've built a bunch of paper up, but most of the nest is in the background. Behind the cobwebs here, the view of the nest is a little obscured by the cobwebs, but there it is. So it's right on the other side of this board, right up in here. It's about in this area, up in this spot, give or take. Hanging upside down like this from the ceiling. This is the third bottle and it's still super steady. Here's the third bottle. Still very steady inflow of foragers. We'll probably easily get 4 or 5 bottles out of this nest today. Here's the fourth bottle already starting to fill up. Just gonna let it run for a while. Fourth bottle. We're gonna freeze this one now, set up a 5th bottle, because there's still traffic coming in. 4th bottle from that porch, and we're gonna go ahead and freeze these now. Here's the 5th bottle, already starting to fill up. Still very steady. So now that we are on the 5th bottle here, we put some tape up to block all the holes that they could enter from, except for the one right by our vacuum hose. So they're going to be forced now and trained to come and go from that hole. That way on subsequent visits to collect, we will be able to have a more efficient collection, targeting just this one entry point. Here's the 5th bottle from this porch over here, and it's starting to slow down a little bit more, so we'll come back on a different day after the nest pupates out some more wasps. Very steady flow again today. So we'll collect here for about an hour and then move on. And we'll do the cutout. The client said she has handyman standing by for repair on the ceilings, so we can do a cutout here early next week. In this clip, you see one of the forager wasps that had flown in this huge chunk of insect meat that it had obviously hunted in the wild and brought back to the nest, but it was so big and so heavy it couldn't get this chunk of insect meat into the nest entry hole, and it dropped it down onto the window frame that was stored near the floor of the porch. So what it's doing here is trying to cut it down to size to make it easier to manage, not only to make it easier to fly, but also easier to drag into the nest. But it gives you an idea of the strength of these wasps. It's carrying a piece of meat that's easily the size of its own abdomen, and then it finally dropped it. Here's the next collection from the porch eaves, and we'll set up a cutout for early next week to pull the brood comb out of the ceiling. It's September 18th, 2025. I'm here with the Manchester University Wasp Team members Colleen and Dakota today. Dakota's holding some Vespula germanica, and what we have here is a nest inside a porch ceiling that we're going to cut out today. But in the meantime, as you can see here on the porch, we've got our vacs running, and we are just collecting wasps to get as many of them collected as possible before we try to cut it out. That will reduce the swarm and allow us the most efficient collection for venom immunotherapy purposes. So right now we're taking Dakota through the freezing process.
Let's get you some gloves first, that'll make it easier.
Yeah. You can leave them right on top of the cooler for now.
Get them out of the sun.
Thanks, I appreciate that. We're gonna give Dakota some gloves here because with dry ice, you don't want to touch dry ice if you can help it. You can touch it very briefly like any ice cube, but if you hold it longer than a few seconds, you're gonna get burned from the cold. So what we're going to do is open it up, and first thing we do is we remove the insulation. And the insulation is in here for the purpose of taking up the airspace that would otherwise cause this dry ice to sublimate or turn back into gas faster. If you fill up the oxygen space with some type of material, it sublimates slower. And this stuff is very expensive. So as I was saying, you can touch it, but it has to be brief. You hold on to that long, you're gonna get a blister like a burn. So what you're going to do is you're going to scoop out, dig heavy and fast, straight down, boom, and then tilt it, and without spilling any, if you can help it, dump it right in the ice bucket. Okay, so scoop out enough so that you think this container will fit. So you're going to go down, at least that far, down to here. Scoop it down, and then we're going to dump the remaining ice on top of it, because you want to kind of freeze it from the top and the bottom if you can help it.
So the most important thing is just making sure that it's fully submerged. You want to dig down deep enough that you can have at least a little bit underneath it, but then cover it up by quite a bit, and there's nothing that's not getting any ice.
And one of the keys working with dry ice is sublimation happens really fast in the heat. So you work as rapidly as you can without spilling it around, so kind of get used to working quickly when you're freezing specimens. It looks pretty good. Let's try that. Lay it on top, and then you're going to dump the rest in.
You think it's good?
Yep, that looks great. I'll hold this for you guys when you go through. So here again, do your best not to spill it. Slowly, slowly dump a little at a time so you're pretty comfortable holding it right on top of the container until it fills right up. There you go. That's perfect. Then you take your glove and you kind of smooth it all out. And Colleen will help you with that, make sure it's insulated right, because it's sublimating enough now we can probably get some insulation in there.
Yeah, it's not overhanging yet, that'll probably work.
Great, and bang them closed. They're kind of hard to close unless you smack them. There you go.
There
Perfect,
you go.
that's it. So you froze your first batch of specimens. VIT awaits these wasps, and what happens now is they get shipped to a biolab at the end of the season. Until then, they're in a chest cooler on my property, and once they're ready to go, we ship them all at once out to a cooler.
So pounds of wasps.
Yeah, pounds of wasps. Literally, like I have a whole chest freezer filled right now. I'm looking for more room right now because it's a little tight in there. September 18th, 2025, and Coco from our Wasp team and Kendall from our Wasp team have both arrived today. Hi guys, thanks for coming out. We're about to get Kendall suited up here and Coco suited up, and once they're suited up, Coco's gonna walk Kendall through the safety checks and get her familiar with that, and then we're gonna go freeze some specimens, and then we're gonna cut the nest out of the porch ceiling. So that's the plan today. Kendall, are you excited for your first wasp job? Well, technically your second, since you were there yesterday at East Hall. But today we're actually gonna show you what a nest looks like when we pull the whole brood comb out. That'll be fun. Coco now is gonna take Kendall through our safety checks.
Alright, so one thing big to do before is to make sure like our zipper's all right. So the long one's all the way over, the one inside's all the way up, and then make sure this is all the way pulled, and make sure that sits nice. And then we always like look around on the suits to make sure there's no holes or rips or anything. So in case like you gotta look kind of like everywhere, especially like these parts where it's kind of more sensitive, like more easier that it would rip. So usually we all just stand like this, and then we kind of just like examine each other to make sure there's no holes or rips or anything that might. And we could just cover it up with duct tape, you know, if that ever would have happened. But pretty good. And then we always want to check before there's veil too, to make sure there's no rips and stuff in that. Move it around, make sure. And then make sure the zipper's down here all the way down. That's over your shoe. Good. And then do the same for me.
So now Kendall will check Coco on all the same safety protocols. So you're looking at zippers, you're looking at seams on the entire suit. Looking for any tears or separations or unclosed zippers or damage. And then you check the veil, same way, really carefully on the veil. That's the most delicate material that we work with, and it's the most easily torn because it catches on stuff sometimes and gets ripped. And sometimes it'll separate from the seams, so that's what you're looking for. All right, once you guys sign off on each other, you can move on to gloves. And then we'll do the same for Dakota here. Hey, Dakota. So Dakota from the team is coming now. We're gonna have you suit up now when you're ready, and then we'll do your safety checks.
Right.
So Kendall, you remember Dakota? You guys met yesterday, and we will be a team today. Okay, Dakota suited up here, and once he's jumped in, we'll get him checked out for zippers, for veil, for seams, make sure he's safe. And we'll have Kendall walk through Dakota's safety check so you get very used to doing that. And of course, Coco will monitor things as well. And then we'll have Dakota run through a safety check for you too, so that he gets used to being in charge of visually inspecting as well. Kendall is new to safety checking, but she's gonna run the safety checks on Dakota. So you can tell him when he's gonna do his safety checks, you immediately put your arms all the way out and you stand like this. That way we can see all your seams. So that's how you begin.
So if I get stung, I can blame her.
Yes, pretty much. So tell him what you're doing as you go through.
All the way in there and hooked up. And then the next one is the seams to make sure there's no like holes and stuff. And the really important areas are like here and then everywhere like that.
And go through really carefully because you never know when the hole occurred. It could have happened since the last time we wore that suit. So you're always looking as if there's a hole somewhere and you must find it, as opposed to just sort of a quick lackadaisical look. You really want to look for that new hole that nobody saw yet. Check zippers. If you see anything you think is a safety concern, just let us know and we'll check it.
safety concern, but there's some bugs trapped in here with me.
Oh no, you've got the gnats. They're all over the place right now. Gnats are the worst. That's why I bring a bug racket sometimes and I just whack the gnats in between everything else we're doing. All right, looks good. Now, for Dakota to get familiar with this protocol, we're going to have him check both of these team members. So walk through first. What we're looking for, Dakota, is seams and zippers. So check their seams and zippers, make sure everybody's good. And you're really looking for a wasp size entry point that could cause them an issue. That's good. Focusing on each part of the seam, especially where it connects to the veil. It's very important. All right, looks good. Same thing with Coco. And as you go through these, you can never be such an expert that you don't do this. The team themselves have saved me a couple of times when I simply forgot to do my zips.
Complacency.
Absolutely. You get confident to the point where you're forgetful, especially if I'm walking through a lot of teaching and a lot of training. I will sometimes forget just like anyone else. And it's your job to catch that. And each team member's job to catch it. Everybody good? Let's sign off on safety. Now we can glove up and cut those wasps out of the ceiling. And in the meantime, I'm going to get you a cap, and Coco will take you guys through the freezing process. Let them do the work, and then you kind of walk them through it. So now we're going to collect that specimen bottle, and we're going to have it frozen in dry ice. Coco's going to walk our newer team members through that process. So knock them down from here a little bit, and then yank it and cap it quickly. And you can just twist it off. There you go, perfect. That's exactly what we're looking for right there. Now kill the vac and we'll disengage. Great, let's bring it over, we'll freeze it up.
There won't be a bunch more up there.
Yeah, there'll be a bunch in between the comb layers that we pull down.
Yeah, this is the second. Yeah, there was, you couldn't even see like any of the plastic.
Yeah, it looks great though. It's a good collection of Germans for VIT, so good job. All right, let's freeze them up.
Okay. This is the cooler with rice. You kind of saw it yesterday, but we'll go through it again. Just open it like this.
And it likes to keep closing, so just yank the whole thing forward on the seat. It won't keep closing on you. There you go. Once you get it set up, it won't close.
Take all this out. Take all that here. Okay, and then if you want to start scooping it,
There is a
kind of
bottle
get like.
in there.
And be very careful not to drop any of the ice, because the dry ice is so expensive. It's a big part of our budget. We really try to preserve it. And we try to work as quickly as we can with dry ice because the heat sublimates it, which means it turns it into gas really fast. So the faster we work, the better.
Use your other hand to kind of help scoop into it.
Let's see what you got there. Nice. Spin that around a little bit. There you go. Yeah, that's a good collection. Nice and healthy. All these are female workers. The females have the venom sacs. They're the only ones that leave the nest to forage. Typically, the males will eventually come out, but normally males will mostly stay on the nest. And this is why we collect most of the flying wasps for venom immunotherapy, because those will be the females, those will be the ones with the venom. All right, let's take a look at that bottle. Let's pull it right out of there. Shake it off so that the ice falls back down in. And here's what you do. Tap it, lay it right here, just tap. We're gonna try to disconnect the wasps from the side of the container. And once you tap it out on all four sides, that's pretty good. You're going to start to dump them in here. So you can, yeah, you can return the ice back in here. And then you're going to dump it in there very carefully so you don't lose any of them on the ground. So put it somewhere solid, like right up here. Hold it carefully and just start dumping them in there. Flip it right vertically up. There you go. And then you just sort of gently, that's it, just like that. Bing, 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 till they all come down. There you go. You can shake it a little bit, whatever you need to do to dislodge them and get them to keep moving. Now, dry ice freezes them in a way that makes them kind of delicate. So you only use the pressure that you have to. Shake it around until they're all out. Now we're going to look inside the bottle, the collection bottle. And we're going to try to see if there's any stuck on the shaft or if there's any down in the bottom.
Can't see in there.
The net makes it kind of hard.
Sometimes you can see it better if you hold it up in the sunlight.
There's just like two kind of stuff in the crevice,
Okay.
like down here.
Okay, so what you do?
In and out is like it's so easy to like adjust it, like turn the bottle or turn the spout in it. So you can kind of mess around with it. So I think like this would probably be the best.
Looks good. So now we're going to make sure that it's put in the most vertical spot so that it doesn't try to fall. And then we're going to turn on the vac and make sure you have good pressure. Just want to double check that they're not getting smacked too hard when they come in. So go ahead and set that up next.
Okay.
Let me scoot that in. Pressure is one of the most important parts of getting set up. So we're just going to observe for a couple minutes, see what's coming in, and make sure they're not getting banged around too much in the bottle. So take a look at the specimens that are now contained and just make sure that they look comfortable, they can walk, they're not getting banged around. That's the main thing.
Yeah, it looks pretty fine.
All right, we think we got good pressure?
Yeah.
Okay. When you're doing cutouts, you try to do the least damage possible to the structure. And in this case, this ceiling already had a patch board put on it by someone in the past. So we decided to pull that board first and let the team do some exploratory work through that access point before we put new holes in the ceiling. And you always try to minimize the damage you do when you're looking for a wasp nest. So we were hoping that we could get lucky and put a camera up through this space and maybe see where the nest was exactly. And the team did great doing this exploratory work. The new team members stepped right up. They didn't hesitate at all. They jumped right in and got the work done. Their workflow was great. They were handing tools off back and forth. They were supporting each other, the whole team. It worked really well. That's what we love to see on the Manchester University Wasp Team. Each season we have the more experienced team members walking newer team members through all of the protocols, all of the training, all of the experience they need to gain, and it works out great. It balances the team really well season to season, and the type of people that this team attracts are just doers, and they are movers and shakers. They want to get things done. They don't like to hesitate on jobs. They want to jump in and have this hands-on experience. So our team has been really fortunate every season that we've worked with the Manchester students and staff with that aspect of what we do. They are just great people to work with. Try to be straight underneath there. Give it to him. We'll trade.
Yep.
Great. Kendall's got all our screws, right? Okay, put them somewhere safe.
I got them in my pocket.
Great, perfect. Now everybody step away for a second.
Want me to step away?
Yep, go ahead. So here we had the team members step away if they were not wearing goggles or dust masks. What's being explained here is that when you're removing ceiling debris, you really have to look out for dust falling down into your face, into your eyes, and you don't want to be breathing any of this stuff. Everything in the top of a rotted ceiling is toxic. Old lead paint, old insulation, fiberglass, anything can come down into your eyes or your lungs. You don't want to be breathing any of that. Rodent dung, insect dung, roaches, all of these things that fall out of ceilings during nest cutouts, you really just have to protect yourself. A full face respirator is the best thing to wear. That's what you see here. It's got a full lens on it that covers the entire face, so you don't need safety goggles or anything else. It covers your eyes, your nose, your mouth. So we're just using a random tool we picked up off the porch to knock all that debris out of the way so that we can then put a camera up into this space and see if we can get a visual on the nest from this side. So once we got a camera up into this side of this cavity, we saw wasps, but there was no nest on this side. What we did see was a support board holding up part of the ceiling, and we knew then that the wasp nest itself would be on the other side of this board. The random wasps you see here had just come over from the other side. They were out exploring and whatever they were doing, maybe looking for expansion points or something. But basically there was no nest in this side of the ceiling, and that's what we needed to know. And we were able to do that without cutting a new hole in the ceiling. We just used the access point that was already there. Once we established that we were not going to be able to go through the access hole that was already in the ceiling, we knew we were going to have to start doing some demolition work. Whenever we're in that situation, we try to use a scope cam first by drilling holes, small holes into the ceiling or the wall and inserting a cable with a camera on the end of it. That's what you see the team doing here. So here Dakota is working on getting imagery of the nest, and what you see here is wasp paper. So we know that the nest is in this section of the ceiling. We now have visual evidence of where this nest is, and that's the great thing about the scope cam. It can get up into these small spaces without doing a lot of damage to the structure so that we can look around before we do any major cutting. Scope cam footage is always tricky because it's never clear. There's never quite enough control of where the camera is put, but it gives you a general idea. And again, the team did really well figuring out this gear and being trained in on how to use it, and it became very useful to us at the time.
There you go. All right, that's it. We can pull it.
I'll pull it.
All right, you turn this off right here. This is power.
Does this stop recording?
You can just leave it on the black box down there. Here we see the back of the nest, some of the paper connected to the wood, so we know we're going this way.
Wow.
Okay, there's a bigger side of it, we're going this way now. There we go. Now we've got the circumference.
You see eggs right there. You can see the larvae right there too.
Okay, great. Stand by right there. We're gonna go this way now. Now go cut.
Yeah.
Watch this thing, okay? We're gonna go here. Now we're going to take our device and bring it down. Vacuum up these rocks. There you go. Bring the board right up to it. Just vacuum them up. Like that. Okay? And we'll set that aside.
There's another one right there. Wait, there's another one right there.
It's a baby.
Okay.
Oh, really? It's okay. Don't want to take the nest apart too.
Oh, okay.
Okay. No, you're fine. I'm going to set it right here.
All right, so there's our nest.
Wow. That's
Look at the
amazing.
fin. Thanks for filming.
Yeah.
You found it.
It's crazy.
Thanks for your help. We'll see you when you come back. That was good. So here's our nest. These are worker combs. Small combs for workers. These are queen combs. Come here and look at the difference in size. See how big they are compared to the workers.
Oh, yeah.
That's the queen comb here and the
That
worker
makes
comb
it-
here. So we're making a lot of queens.
Waiting to hatch.
This nest would have produced hundreds of new queens.
Like the worker ones are like,
Okay, go ahead.
you want to get like super close to the ceiling, so because you don't want to like try and damage the nest so much, and just like try and
Just gently
like
pull it away.
Are you?
Here, Kendall from the team is removing some of the outer envelope paper so that we can see the full extent of the brood comb underneath. This paper is a fascinating material that's created by the wasps by collecting wood fiber from the environment and mixing it with their saliva and creating kind of a paper mache-like material to sculpt with, and that's what the paper and the brood comb are made from. Whenever we do removals for any species of wasp, we like to look at the entire brood comb before we try to remove it. So that's what we're doing here, just trying to get a size estimate of what the actual comb is going to be. As we expose more and more of the comb, you can see a lot of white silk caps over some of the cells. These are woven by the larvae, the baby wasps themselves, as they go into pupation. And they'll spend a couple weeks underneath the silk caps, and then they'll come out as adult wasps. And what we're trying to do is figure out how many of these combs are queen combs, which are much larger cells to accommodate the new queens that are being born in the nest. And these are queens that will go out and mate in the fall, and they will hibernate over winter. Then if they survive their hibernation period, and not all of them do, they will come out and start their own nest in a different location typically. All the other wasps from the original nests, including the queen that founded the nest, all of the workers, all of the males, they will all die at the end of the season as soon as the cold weather comes and all of the nectar flow stops and there's no more insects to hunt. Only the newly born and mated queens will survive.
Yeah.
So here we're telling the team to keep an eye out for the queen. Once we start getting into the comb and the nest itself, we want to make sure we capture her.
It'll be a really big rock, much bigger than the others.
Look at all of them coming out from in between. That is thick.
We were a little close to that wire.
Oh, it's wire. Oh,
So one of the things we have to look out for in these nests and ceilings and walls are electrical lines. And we found that this nest bordered right up against one of the main wires that feeds this light bulb. And that can be very dangerous. It can just be a fire hazard.
Okay, so Kendall, come here. Keep doing it like that. Just clearing the way. Okay? Looking for the queen.
think so. I think I'm gonna try to find one.
Oh, there's some in there.
I know. That one's just a male one. This is longer.
Oh,
The queen will be more
With
thick.
long antenna.
Yeah.
Very long, floppy antenna compared to the workers.
And there's one down there too.
Right? Okay, let's get some more paper. Hold it right here. Like that. And here's the reference for size.
Wow.
It's a big one. You can see how the female stings. They get stuck in your glove. Because it's leather. But in your skin, they don't get stuck. They can sting many times. Let's check the perimeter. That's a 2x4. So I can't go any further. Looks like that's it. So we can pull this dry and drop it in the bin.
Okay.
When we drop it, look for the queen. Okay? I'm gonna have Kendall. Bring over a little bit like that.
Over here. I would just look down.
There you go. Good job.
Okay, you got it. Okay. Alright, let's try that.
All right, leave it right there for a second. You guys look for the queen.
She likes to hide in between. Don't worry, it's touching and biting.
Let's turn it over. Let's try to find the queen. Here's a tool. You can use to cut it open. Let me set it down. Let's go like this. We're going to go kind of gentle.
Feel bad.
Tilt it. Like that, okay? We're looking for that big queen.
I see her.
Where's she is?
Where?
I think I just saw her. I could be wrong. That was a male, I guess. All right, let's close up the bin.
I don't know if it'll close.
Okay. Now we're gonna
I
take
feel
the
like I
rest.
got some.
This is a male, they can't sting.
I feel something in my arm.
You get stung?
I think so.
Okay.
I don't know. Or maybe, I don't know. It would kind of hurt really bad.
So right at this moment, as we were closing up the bin, Coco got stung in the arm, right through her suit. Whenever a team member is stung, we immediately start to crush the suit around the area where the sting occurred. This is because if there is a wasp inside the suit stinging her on the arm, we need to immediately kill it or it will continue to sting her because wasps can do that. They can sting many times on human skin without losing their stinger. They're not like honeybees with a barbed stinger that will lose their stinger. So I'm just crushing along her arm here to try to make sure we kill anything that might be in the suit. Later we found out there was nothing in the suit. She'd been stung right through the suit. So we stopped everything here, as is our safety protocol. We get her some medical attention through the med kit that we have. We give her a venom extractor, antihistamine if she wants it, and we just monitor her to make sure she's okay. So that's what we're doing here for a few minutes. We did not film that part. Anytime someone on the team takes a sting, we have them step away, get their suit off, make sure they can inspect their body, make sure they're okay, and monitor their heart rate and their breathing, all the routine stuff.
Okay, go ahead and get out.
Once we made sure Coco was stable and doing okay, the rest of the team went back to remove the rest of the paper you see up in the ceiling. We found some old comb up there, some old paper up there. They had been moving around the nest as they were expanding the nest. So what we think we found was the original comb, which they had then abandoned and began building more comb all the way through the rest of the bigger nest that we found. And there was lots of paper in kind of random areas, as you see here. Beautiful swirly paper with interesting colors, and it was kind of put in different places throughout the cavity of this ceiling. So we went up there to just sort of remove every bit of paper we could find, just to get it all out of there and disconnected from all of the electrical lines that were up there. Vespula germanica, or German Yellowjackets as they're known commonly, are notorious for building all kinds of really interesting paper structures throughout the cavity where they have a nest, and certainly that was the case here. They had lots of paper in there in areas that weren't even related to the comb structure itself. Wasps seem to put paper up around the nest, sometimes to section it off from the parts of the cavity that they're not using. They might build a big wall of paper out there, or they might build paper all along the seams of a cavity to block out light or drafts. They're very good engineers, and there's many reasons that they will build paper in different ways, but it's very clear when you look in these cavities that they have spent a lot of time engineering in different ways. Here you see more paper connected to these electrical lines. We're trying to clear all that out. German Yellowjackets are actually a species that comes from Eurasia, where typically they will live underground as often as they will live in buildings. Here in North America, they live in buildings more than they live underground, but it's the opposite where they're from. They're often underground in their native ranges. And what you see here in these electrical wires is the wasps have used these wires to help support their nest. So they build the nest all in throughout these wires, and the wires actually help hold the nest together. This behavior comes from their natural behavior of using roots underground the same way to support the nest. Oftentimes when we dig out a ground nest, we'll find roots running throughout it. And we have to give props to one of our newest team members here, Kendall. You see her continually working on this nest, even when she saw one of our more experienced members get stung and have to be taken out of the field temporarily. This was her very first removal, and she was very brave, very professional, and just kept at it. You can't ask for more than that in any solid team member or field operator. New team member Dakota also made it back after one of his school appointments, and we appreciate their enthusiasm as new team members. This was a big nest, and it was their first removal for both of them.
Oh, larvae.
Yeah, we're going to incubate all of these back at my property in the vestiary. Yeah, there's a few in there. The queen is hopefully in there.
Okay, so now Kendall and Dakota here are going to take this bottle and get it prepared to freeze by capping it off. And Coco is going to take 5 because she took a sting. She took it like a pro, but she's over there using her venom extractor, so we're going to give her a break. All right, here we go, guys. Bang them away from the top a little bit. Just tap them away from it, and then bring it right down away from your face. Always down toward your knees, not your face. And then pop it quickly and cap it. Just twist and grab and pull and cap very quickly. Good, there you go, perfect. I'll take the spout. That's it. Now you can disengage, you can pull it. There you go, now you can recap it a little better. Excellent. Kendall, turn off that vac, please. That is that. Well done. Now, where there used to be a nest, there's no nest anymore. And that is well done. So good job. Good job, guys. That was excellent. That was pretty much textbook removal when you do a cutout. Very well done. So your first wasp experience, Kendall and Dakota, what'd you think? Was it crazy?
Yeah, wasn't too bad.
Wasn't bad.
Guys,
Guys,
fun. I mean, like, it was a little nerve-wracking just because, like, they're all up in your face sometimes, but you just, like, take a second, you just go, okay, they can't get you.
totally true.
It's gratifying. It's nice to be able to go out and help people.
That's true. That's a great way to look at it, because what we do right from this point, when we collect these wasps, we're saving lives for allergy patients. By putting them into the Venom Immunotherapy program, these wasps, we're going to help people.
I'm
So,
wondering about the hornets that spray, though. That's what I'm worried about. Something to do more
yeah,
violent.
the hornets that spray venom, like ball-faced hornets.
Something more violent than the Germans or the German.
Yeah, you'll see a couple of different nests we'll take you to this week or this month. You'll find some more that are a little more crazy and aggressive, but we're protected. And Coco, you took a sting today. Tell us what that was like. Like, honestly, what would it be if no one's ever been stung before? What is that experience like?
Well, we had this bin down, and we were going through the comb looking for the queen, and all of a sudden I just felt like this really sharp pain, and I was like, that has to be a sting. So first thing I do, want to hold this? First thing I was trying to do, just how James told us, was kind of just like feel and smack around, you know, just in case it was inside my suit, whatever. I think that was my first thing, just to make sure it doesn't happen again. But I was like, gosh, this hurts really bad, but I'm okay, you know, and I know that we have the right things to do. So yeah, I don't know. It stung really bad. It just had that really painful stinging sensation, but just came over and started trying to suck as much venom out as I can, and I felt better and drank water, and I feel fine. It's
That's
like
great. And now you don't feel much?
No.
Excellent.
Yeah.
It's only been, what, 15, 20 minutes?
Yeah.
All right, let's take a look at what the tool was that you used to extract
I put it
venom.
back in the bag, but
Let's
this
show
is
you,
our
just
safety
explain
bag.
to people what that looks like and what it
Yeah,
is.
So this is our safety bag. We have this bag with all of the Benadryl and EpiPens and stuff. And this is
called the bug bite thing. It's just a venom extractor.
And this is what I was doing. Make sure it's all the way up and hold it flat against the sting, and then kind of slowly push back.
That's right.
And I was just holding it for about 15-30 seconds at a time, and then just doing that over and over again.
And
Make
that
sure I got
draws the
everything
venom
out.
out of the tissue and reduces the burn and reduces the reaction you have. So that by now, you don't feel much at all.
Yep.
So good job. You handled that really well. You kept it cool. Good work.
Yep.
All right, thanks. Guys, you did great work today. Excellent. Thank you, both of you. You have good personalities for this kind of work. You kept it cool. You did what you could. You used tools well. You did teamwork well. Thank you. And we're going to wrap for today. We'll see you on the next one. So now we're going to go ahead and patch up the ceiling with just a temporary cardboard cover that we're going to use a staple gun to put on. That's the easiest thing to do. And they'll find a handyman to let the ceiling get patched. September 18th, 2025. This is our Vespula germanica incubation box. Looks like we're incubating some earwigs at the moment. But inside here, we have 3 incubating germanica nests. So right here, we're going to put in the next one that we pulled out of the porch ceiling today. The only thing we don't know about this one is if we have the queen, because we didn't see her yet, but she could be here, hidden away somewhere. There she is. There's the queen, right here. And that's what we wanted to make sure we saw, was that the queen was present, so that when we put her nest in here, she can rejoin it and hopefully continue supporting the nest. Make sure all the combs are oriented properly. There we go. That looks pretty good. This nest is beginning to rebuild and attach to the wall. And so is this one. So let's let them keep going. All this paper we can reuse. Okay. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4 Germanica relocations, rebuilding. These two are still in the process of rebuilding. This one obviously has been here and has done a good job of it already. And our new one here. So you notice how quickly German Yellowjackets will disengage and stop attacking. That's why they're easy to work with. If these were Eastern or Southern Yellowjackets, they would be going nuts and attacking non-stop, clinging to the veil, clinging to the gloves, stinging everything in sight. But Germans just don't do that.